Oh, that's for the itchy.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Tuesday, May 18th school board meeting for Osceola County. We'll go ahead and call that meeting to order. If you would, please join me in silencing your cell phones when we get started. And we begin each meeting with an invocation, which tonight will be led by Mr. Angel Fonseca, Cybersecurity Network Analyst for the School District of Osceola County, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Ryan Adams, our Coordinator of Athletics, followed by our National Anthem via video by Kimbra Cortez. Kimbra is a student for St. Cloud High School Chorus. Mission statement will be led by Kelly Cotton, our resource teacher. Translation services by Dr. Estinia Peñalosa, Coordinator of Multicultural Department. And if you would, please rise with me for our invocation.
Evening, let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you at this moment and we give you thanks for your love, your mercy, and the blessing of life. At this moment, Father, we present to you this board meeting and we ask for your wisdom, your clarity, your guidance, and understanding for our leadership, for every decision that will be made for our students, our teachers, our staff, and our community of Osceola County. May you always be our guide, always be our strength and our support. And thank you for the blessing of being here in this wonderful country and this wonderful county. In the name of Jesus Christ we pray. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And you may be seated.
Mission statement: inspiring all learners to reach their highest potential as responsible, productive citizens.
Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Dr. Osceola Peñalosa and I'm here to provide translation services. Buenas noches, mi nombre es la doctora Osceola Peñalosa y estoy aquí para proveer servicios de traducción.
Thank you very much. That brings us to the board comment section. I usually go last. If you'll indulge me, I'm going to go first tonight. We've got former school board member Ricky Booth, now County Commissioner from Osceola County here. He's going to read into the record for us something from the County Commission.
Yes, thank you. And I saw Dr. Pace earlier, and I'm glad to know that she doesn't know what I'm here to do today.
I want to remind you, you have 3-minute time frame.
If you knew who wrote this, you know I couldn't read it in 3 minutes. So board in June, you know, Governor DeSantis and Florida Education Commissioner decided we were going to have face-to-face learning. And it was the right decision, and Florida students have benefited from that. But it left districts like ours in a very tough spot, and our superintendent stepped up to the challenge. So my fellow commissioners and I decided we needed to do something special for this lady because she's such a special individual. So I'd like to read something into the record. You don't have to vote on it, we've already voted on it, it's gonna happen. So, I'll put my glasses on here. So whereas from the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, Superintendent Dr. Deborah Pace has not only continued but accelerated the school district's core mission of improving education both for our students and in support of educators in Osceola County. And whereas Superintendent Pace took enormous measures to protect the health and safety of nearly 70,000 children and more than 8,000 educators and staff, all of which successfully limited the spread of the virus in our schools. Whereas Superintendent Pace has shown tremendous leadership as she ensured that learning never stopped in Osceola County as the school district changed to a digital format in response to the ever-changing situations of the pandemic. And whereas Superintendent Pace continued to lead the state as the Florida Department of Education named the district's Ready, Set, Start Smart plan as a model for all other school districts to follow. And whereas Superintendent Pace boldly allowed parents to customize their children's education to either in-person, digital, or through virtual school, thereby meeting the needs of all of our students and families. And whereas Superintendent Pace showed overwhelming grace and compassion as our team re-imaged and loaned out over 17,500 laptops and 1,200 Wi-Fi hotspots to the 32% of students who needed them, launched online learning with over 4,000 teachers in 1 week's time, and developed a curbside meal program so that no child went hungry. And whereas social distancing has made building interpersonal bonds harder, Superintendent Pace has led by example by forming strong parent and community relationships and engagement that have helped lift our Osceola County schools and families in a time of need. And whereas throughout the pandemic, Superintendent Pace has tirelessly championed our Osceola County educators, administrators, and support staff who have been on the front lines of the pandemic and are among the true professionals offering hope and support to students and parents. And whereas she made her school board members look really good, I added that part, that's not really good. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Osceola Board of County Commissioners does hereby proclaim May 28th, 2021, the last day of school, to be known in all of Osceola County as Superintendent Dr. Deborah Pace Day. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to add one thing. You know, I've said it many times here when I was on the school board until October of 2020, and I've said it over at my new position, that besides maybe being a doctor in a hospital or being the governor of a state, the toughest job anywhere was being a superintendent of a school district. And ours did a fantastic job, and I think the proof is in the pudding. You see where we are, and you see where we've come. So, Chairman, with your permission, I'd like to
Please.
present this proclamation to Dr. Pace. I'm glad you did it now. Yes, congratulations, and thank you so much, Dr. Pace. Yes, you deserve it.
Thank you,
guys.
and thank the county commission for that recognition for Dr. Pace.
We appreciate
Very
you.
well deserved. Thank you. Carry on with our comments. Mr. Melendez? Dr. Melendez is a.
Mr. Feliciano, will you please come up here?
I kind of like it. I like it rolls off the tongue nicely.
Come on, here, Mr. Feliciano. He is from the Criminal Justice Academy. And as folks have known, I started a program with the SRO Task Force after the incident occurred to be able to work with our students and better understand what is going on and what are the training requirements in order to become effective officers to work on our campus. And he is the high liability training officer at the Criminal Justice Academy, and he opened up his doors. It wasn't like there was no firewall. He let me go in there, he let me see the students that were in action, he let me interview them. As a matter of fact, they're having their graduation ceremony tonight, and I felt so vested in them. And that's why, Mr. Chairman, I appreciate you working with the agenda, because I actually want to see them graduate and be there to congratulate them. But I tell you, Mr. Feliciano, your advice has been integral to us to look at this, from a perspective of non-emotion, because the SROs are important. And I just had an Orlando Sentinel op-ed that I told him that there's that dual agency issue, that they work for the law enforcement agency, but they also work for the school district. And that is something that you do as well. He is a reserve officer for the sheriff's department, and he's also a full-time employee for the school district, making sure that everybody has the proper training. And I tell you right now, and I gotta boast on you a little bit, these students are not just Osceola students. The law enforcement agencies from Ocoee, from Orlando PD, from Lake County, they sponsor them to come here, and everybody has nothing but great things to say about Mr. Feliciano, that his standard is up to date, that he gets these people know, or these students know what to expect from a future law enforcement agency. And for that, Mr. Feliciano, I want to recognize you for being the District Teacher of the Month. So thank you so much, sir. Okay. Do we have Mr. Pagan here from, thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody. Congratulations.
Is Mr. Pagan here from Cypress Elementary? Yes. Oh, yes, please come. Come on up. Now, this next category to me means a lot because when we started this program, we want to try to select students. Yo, come on up, come on, family, everybody, come on up here. Everybody. I know, I was looking at the nice little, yeah, my certificate is as nice as that little.
Jeez.
Hey, everybody. Well, really quickly, one thing that makes me warm my heart about this student is that we have a high transition population. You know, when I started selecting students of the month, you always want to select one that saved somebody, did something phenomenal. And what he did was he moved in from another district. And that happens a lot. We have a high transition rate. A lot of families, unfortunately, move from apartment complex to apartment complex. And this young gentleman was able to move into Cypress Elementary right away, and he was able to make friends immediately, which is a real good thing to have, buddy, because when you get older, you know, the ability to talk to people and make good friends is important. So he made his friends smile, and he made everybody feel comfortable. And that's why I think it's an honor to recognize Mr. Pagan, because the school district does have a high mobility rate. As you can see, he's already moving. You know, and so if the parents or the teachers want to say something.
I'd like to talk a little bit about his transition. She has a little something that she wrote. Okay, I'll just read what I wrote. All right, Gabriel Pagan is our April Falcon of the Month. Recently, Gabriel was moved to a new class within our school. He was quickly required to adjust to a new classroom structure, unfamiliar staff and peers, and a new learning experience with me. This can be a tough change for anyone, but Gabriel had taken this transition with stride. He did so with optimism, and he jumped right into his new learning environment without hesitation. His exposure to an increased level of rigor and the standards-based instruction has proven to be beneficial for him as his communication, his stamina, social skills, and his ability to follow 1 to 2 step directions has all shown growth. Gabriel is a strong example of what it takes to persevere through unexpected changes, and our class is so lucky to have him. I look forward to watching his continued growth throughout the remainder of this year, and I'm so thankful as he's a great addition to our Room 4 family.
Ooh, and you get an Amazon gift card for
My video camera. Look, exciting.
Thank you.
You is that?
That's
Good?
it. That's it. That's it.
Mrs. Steele?
Sure, yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So I just have a couple of shout outs for people that have helped me during this the last 2 weeks. So first, Mr. Yates, thank you so much for spending time with me to review our security plan, which was very intricate. I really appreciate you kind of giving me a lot of information that we're going to be using and implementing and answering all of my questions. I also want to give a shout out to a student from Celebration High School. Her name is Jackie Scipio. Do you guys watch the Macy's Thanksgiving Parade? Anyone? Yes? We all need to watch this year because she is going to be performing in the All-American March Band. She was just selected for that, and I'm so excited that we have representation from Osceola County. I also want to thank Councilwoman Lynette Matheny from St. Cloud. So on Saturday, I participated in this really amazing event for our veterans where I wasn't an invited guest. In fact, I was actually helping and serving our veterans. And she had the amazing idea of asking other elected officials to come and serve instead of coming to just say hello and have a great dinner. And I had such a great time. It was really the highlight of my week. So I just want to thank her for, asking me to do that and for coming up with that concept. And finally, I want to thank Ms. Pam Hawes for allowing me to be one of the people to interview for the Art to Life Scholarship, which is actually happening on Thursday. I had a great time interviewing our students. We have some bright students in our county, and that was actually a great honor. So thank you so much, Pam Hawes, and that's all I have.
Mr. Arguello.
Yeah, so I've got a couple of awards here.
Okay.
Let me call forward Principal Bressler. And Gabriela. Is he here? Guys, you can come on too, come on. So, this truly is kind of an awesome part of this job here, is just kind of learning and meeting the great people throughout the district. I'm gonna let Mr. Bressler here kind of talk about why she was nominated for Student of the Month.
Absolutely. So as we know, recess should be a very fun part of the day for our students. On this one particular day, we had a student that was being treated unfairly by a few students. And when we went to look at our surveillance camera when we do our investigations, we looked and found a student jump in the middle and say, "Stop, leave this student alone." And it turned out that Gabriela was that superhero of the day and saved the student from being further up. So we're extremely proud of her, extremely proud of her.
Here's a future leader right here, and
Yes.
hopefully you continue, Gabriela, throughout your entire lifetime protecting people who need your help. Why don't you come here, let me give you this little certificate with your parents. Mom, Dad, you want to come? Too? There you go. And, yep.
There we go. Okay.
Thank you, Gabriela, very much. Joel Shore? Joel. No? They're not here yet, or? No?
I didn't even see him today, we were so
Okay,
busy.
so I'm gonna read to the email that we received from Principal Confessor. Ms. Shore has gone above and beyond in her role as an assistant. She has taken a lot of responsibility for each of the students that she works with daily. Ms. Shore is a dedicated employee which is proven in her attendance record and continues to remain the biggest advocate for our students and community. As you know, that a lot of people they overlook the people behind the scenes, that when you impact the students and the families recognize exactly how much you mean to their students, and it's not like you're a teacher that's just constant looking at the same person. You're really loved by your community, and people reached out to me and said, hey, this is a person that really needs some kind of recognition for all the love that she's giving back to her community. So thank you very much. I really appreciate all of your hard work.
Thank you, sir, I
Thank you
appreciate
very
that.
much. Okay, Mr. Michael Posiak. So this is kind of a, and where's your admin team? You guys, yeah. So this is one, Mr. Posiak, you would never meet touring a school or something like that. He teaches in one of the places that people forget about, Kissimmee Youth Academy. It is in a juvenile facility. You hear about kids that are forgotten. And there's Mr. Posiak, when I met him, he was such an extraordinary person that for several hours while he was going through a presentation for me, all I could do was just listen. So for I don't know how long, it seemed like a long time. It was such a weighty topic of how he's impacting these students It's truly incredible. And so you're talking about, he's literally changing people's lives for the better, graduating kids who are in a juvenile facility where before they may have been wasting a lot of time doing nothing, not getting educated. And he's ensuring that in a place where nobody's watching him, nobody knows how great he's doing, nobody's telling him what to do, he took it upon himself to really make an impact on the dozens of kids that will last literally their whole lifetime, graduating these kids, telling them that they have a better future than what they expect for themselves. I couldn't be prouder of you. He's also a veteran, and it just kind of goes like when you're a veteran, you know what it's like to put yourself after somebody that you love, just like a parent, right, for your friend, for your fellow man. You're really doing that for these kids. I couldn't be any prouder to have you in our district. Thank you very much.
Mr. Posiak was one of the first people I had the opportunity to hire when I became the principal of the Juvenile Detention Center, and I could not have found a more passionate nor a dedicated employee. He has come early, very early, as a matter of fact, sometimes 4 in. He stays late on a regular basis tutoring students and working with them, and he truly cares about them even after they leave our facility. We've seen a total transformation in that place, and what a gift it has been to both of our lives to be able to see children's lives transform. So thank you, Mr. Posiak, for all that you've done for our boys.
Boys, you guys, so many reasons to be proud of your dad. Not only is he a hero just for his service to our country, but he's continuing to serve on a daily basis his community, you know, and as great of a dad as he is for you guys, I'm sure, he's doing it for somebody who doesn't know who may not have somebody else to love them, and he's extending that. And I know that as a family, in this situation, you guys are also giving, just thank you very much for offering him to the district and letting him dedicate his life the way that he has been for people who wouldn't otherwise
We're
get
very
it.
proud of him.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you.
Congratulations.
We're also going to give Mr. Posiak, as a veteran, we have a tradition in the Army, well, I'm going to say Army, I don't know what you guys do in the Navy, but a coin, obviously.
Coin.
Thank you so much.
Wow.
Thank you so
That's
much.
very awesome. Come on in. Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you.
You have more?
I'm good, thank you.
Mr. Massey?
Okay, well, first I want to thank everyone as always for coming out, and first and foremost, thank all of our teachers and all the staff for all that they have done for our students. You've made the best out of a bad situation this year, and I hope testing went well, and the end is almost near. You'll have a great summer to enjoy some time off. Dr. Pace and I had the chance to go to St. Cloud High School to present a document or an award to Sabrina Hellner. This young lady, she was at our last board meeting. Since pre-K, she has not missed one day of school from pre-K, and she's getting ready to graduate, so it was quite an accomplishment. Student athletes, I just was blown away by this. I want to read off some teams, the top 3 teams from the girls and boys. And you know, when you're taking a pretty hefty workload, plus trying to factor sports in on top of it, I know as my daughter, she's playing both ends against the middle, and it is tough to keep the grades up at all times. Now, this is the average GPA for the winning top 3 teams in the district. For the girls, Harmony High School cross country 3.892. That's an average for the whole team. Then it's followed by St. Cloud High School weightlifting with 3.873 and St. Cloud High School tennis with 3.832. And on the boys team, St. Cloud High School cleaned house. Their tennis 3.879, cross country 3.659, and golf 3.573. So given what we've all had to go through this year and having them keeping that GPA up and play sports and be as successful in both was phenomenal. I too had the opportunity to be one of the servers at the Veterans Dinner, and that was really enjoyable. And some of these veterans were from World War II. Little lady was 99 years old and was better health than I was. She was phenomenal. Went to Toho's, I want to call it wasn't the booster club, it was your awards banquet, wasn't it? It's awards banquet plus the combining of starting your booster club. So I'm really looking forward to helping you with that and working on our first golf tournament and getting that booster club off the ground. I met with the incoming president and we've exchanged pleasantries and we're gonna make sure that that's gonna work for you guys. Let's see, that's about it, Mr. Chairman. No.
Thank you, Ms. Matt. Dr. Pace? Thank you all very much. Excuse me, that brings us to our presentations. First up, Mr. Clinch, FPA Awards.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. The Florida Educational Facilities and Planners Association completed their 2021 Winter Conference in March, which included the Architectural Showcase Awards. This conference brings together school district facilities professionals, design professionals, and construction managers representing all 67 K-12 school districts and state higher educational facilities. You may recall last year, Osceola school projects were selected for both high school category awards and an award of merit in the previous year. With that, it has been clearly communicated to our FEFPA colleagues the great things that are happening here in Osceola. We are designing and constructing projects that provide tremendous value to our students and the community we serve. This year, the Osceola Schools projects were selected for a first place in the elementary, middle school category and an award of merit in the high school category. This is especially noteworthy as both Architectural Showcase Awards were awarded to the same design firm, Song & Associates. Song & Associates' successful track record of delivering high-quality, fiscally responsible projects have received FEFPA's highest praise. And on behalf of the school district, we wish to recognize Song & Associates and their team for the value that they bring to our school district. I will now summarize both Song & Associates awards. First place award in the elementary middle school category for the combined campuses at Michigan Avenue Elementary and St. Cloud Middle School, which were our district's first comprehensive renovation projects funded by the half-penny sales tax program passed by our voters in 2016. Michigan Avenue Elementary was project priority 1, St. Cloud Middle School project priority 3. Some of the unique features that stood out for this award include elementary, middle school shared kitchen cafeteria, which provides significant first costs and annual cost savings. Elementary, middle school shared central energy plant, bus and car loops, along with other shared amenities. Innovative approaches to renovating existing spaces and incorporating new construction while maintaining ongoing school operations. The next award was the Award of Merit in the high school category for the Osceola Business Academy at Point Siena High School. Some of the unique features that contributed to this award: high performance building criteria, which provides significant annual operational cost savings, innovative spaces that provide a unique business and entrepreneurial learning environment. With lead architect John Catrone at the helm and the interior designer Jeannie Martin keeping the crew on track, the entire Song & Associates team for both awards include the following: BBM Structural Engineers, Galvin Associates, Hanson Walters, OCI Consultants, Osceola Engineering, SPDM, and I'd also like to call out the construction managers involved in those projects. At Michigan Avenue St. Cloud Middle School, that was Clancy and Days Construction, and at the Osceola Business Academy, Wharton Smith. I will now ask for Song & Associates, their sub-consultants, and the facilities team to join us up front for recognition of the 2 awards and a photo with Chairman Thacker and Superintendent Pace.
John, how are you? Good to see you.
Crowd in.
Hold it down a little bit.
Smile.
Jeez.
Congratulations.
Great job. Thank you. Appreciate all the work. Congratulations.
It's gonna be your Tuesday night deal then.
How are you? Thank you.
Adams, I think you're next. Student athletes, Mr. Adams.
Yes, thank you very much. Members of the board, Superintendent Pace, thank you for allowing us to be here this evening. Mr. Bass, we would like to continue that celebration with our athletics. We have some fantastic student athletes here we certainly want to be able to recognize. Unfortunately, last year with the shutdown of spring sports, we were unable to recognize some of our student athletes who had captured a state championship, individual state championships. We have 5 individuals. Unfortunately, some of them could not be here tonight. So at this time, I would like to introduce from Osceola High School their athletic director, Jim Bird, and their wrestler, Cooper Haas. He should be here, but it's kind of loud out there, so. Come on up, Jim. Cooper, come on up, bud. Yeah, you hear the bling bouncing around.
Good sound.
Good, come on, go ahead. All right, Cooper is a sophomore this year, and Cooper has a record this past season of 41-1. He is a 2-time OBC district and regional champion, and he is a 2-time state champion, winning last year and this year from Osceola High School, Cooper Haas. Also, while we're taking a picture, also from Osceola, unfortunately they couldn't be here this evening, we have Jacobs Hines, who was last year's 2020 Player of the Year. His record this year was 43-1. He is a 4-time regional champion, 2-time state runner-up, 2-time state champion, 2020 and 21. He will be attending Appalachian State on a full scholarship. Also from Osceola High School wrestler, Gunnar Holland. He was a freshman this year. He finished the season 30-6. He was the 2021 district and state champion, all from Osceola High School. That is 15 years in a row Osceola High School has had an individual state champion in wrestling. So Coach Bird, Cooper, and all the wrestlers at Osceola, congratulations.
Good job, guys.
Also from Osceola, from track and field, they had Markevius Jackson. He was the OBC district and regional champion. Unfortunately, he can't be here with us this evening. He also set the new county record running the 400 meter in 46.9 seconds, which is fast. Again, Osceola, congratulations. Our next state champion we'd like to recognize from Poinciana High School, their head coach, Kathy Esposito. If she could come up, please. Their athlete, Guy Bond, he is a senior. This young man set it on fire this year. He was the OBC district, regional, and state champion in the high jump, clearing 6 feet 9 inches. Which is a lot taller than he is, which is very, very impressive. And he is looking to attend either Bethune-Cookman or Campbell University in North Carolina. So he's got a tough decision to make as he's getting ready. But again, Guy Bond, Poinciana High School state champion. All right. Dr. Pace, if I could invite you down now at this time. A few years ago, for many years now, 8 years, we've been recognizing our Player of the Year for their performance on their field and on the court. And a few years ago, we started recognizing our Academic Student Athletes of the Year for their performance in the classroom. At this time, I would like to invite from Gateway High School, Sydney Kokensparger. proud moms right behind me, because she's won every other award we give out as well. Sydney has a 4.7 weighted GPA, taking all IB and AP courses. She had a 1460 on her SATs. She is part of the swimming and water polo programs at Gateway for 4 years. She has unbelievable hours in community service at Gateway, and she will be attending Clark University in the fall.
Great job.
Stay right there, Cindy, for 1 second. And from Tohoba-Caliga High School, if we can invite Alexander Negron up, please. Alexander is a part of the swimming and lacrosse program at Tohoba-Caliga. He has a 4.5 weighted GPA, and he, again, was swimmer and lacrosse team, and he will be attending UCF in the fall.
Now, wait, he's something in the country. Wait a minute, now, he got some kind of, weren't you like #1 in the country for something?
Number 1 in the country.
Make
it up, nobody will ever do it. You have an opportunity.
No, in our meeting the other night, y'all had meant you were throwing off all of his statistics, and there was one statistic and it had to do with lacrosse, but, oh well, yeah, it escapes me, but congratulations. I know it was something much grander than that.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you,
All right,
congratulations.
at this point in time, we're going to introduce our 2 Player of the Year finalists, recipients, and we would like to invite their athletic director, Lonnie Flores, their coach, Matthew Fenn. Mr. Phelps, would you like to come down as well? Our 2021 Female Athlete of the Year is Alyssa Witro. She is from Tohoba-Caliga, and she is a 5-sport athlete participating in cross-country, golf, girls weightlifting, soccer, and track and field. She currently holds 7 school records for track and field. She is the OBC champion in javelin, the district champion in high jump, and she was a state qualifier in javelin, high jump, and long jump. She finished 4th in the state in high jump and 9th, just missing the podium, in both javelin and long jump. And she is looking at Bethune-Cookman and UCF as potential college opportunities. Alyssa Witro, thank you. Yep. And our final recipient, our final male player of the year is from Osceola High School. If we could please invite down Nolan Eady. More bling coming up. Nolan is a senior at Osceola. He is a 3-sport athlete. He participated in football, wrestling, boys weightlifting. He is the starting linebacker on the state runner-up football team, leading the team in tackles both his junior and senior year. In wrestling, he was the OBC district and regional champion. He was the 2021 state runner-up in wrestling. In weightlifting, he was the OBC and district champion. He was also the state runner-up. He has a 4.5 GPA, and he will be attending the University of Florida. Congratulations. Thank you, Dr. Pace. Thank you, members of the board.
Thank you. Ms. Cotton, your recognition for
Yes.
State History Fair?
Yes. I wanted to recognize our St. Cloud High School junior, Noah Jenkins. Noah's participated in the Florida History Day the last 3 years, and this year Noah finished 2nd in the state in the senior individual documentary category. In addition, Noah is just an amazing student. He's St. Cloud High School speech and debate team leader. He is the leader of the St. Cloud High School mock trial team and an online editor for the school newspaper. So we just wanted to recognize his hard work and his fabulous finish this year at the State History Fair.
Great job. Congratulations.
Thank you.
favor?
Today's awards day. Today's awards day.
Last presentation, I'll make it short and sweet. I want to invite my finance team to come up here, Ms. Fueling Lou and Migdalia Gonzalez. Every year, our finance department and superintendent put together a comprehensive annual financial report that is audited and submitted to award agencies. And so tonight, I want to present the ASBO Certificate for Excellence in Financial Reporting Award. And this to you guys, step forward. So I'm just going to read a little bit. The Association of School Business Officials International, or ASBO, is pleased to award the School District of Osceola County, Florida, the Certificate of Excellence in Financial Reporting. ASBO's Certificate of Excellence recognizes districts that have met the program's high standards for financial reporting and transparency. The school district earned the award for its comprehensive annual financial report for the fiscal year ended 2020. The COE's mission is to promote and recognize excellence in financial reporting. The comprehensive annual financial report informs stakeholders about the financial and economic state of the district, making it an important communication tool for building trust and engaging with the school community. By participating in the program, school districts demonstrate their commitment to financial transparency. And there's a lot of work that goes into this document, so I want to thank our team who worked tirelessly over the summer to bring this all together, and very proud that we've continued to receive this award on an annual basis.
Congratulations, great job.
Oh, let's go.
Thank you all very much. Appointments and transfers, Dr. Pace.
Yes, sir. Chairman Thacker and members of the board, I would like to invite Dr. Rose Polizzi up to the podium for a moment, please. Members of the board, I am pleased tonight to recommend Dr. Rose Polizzi to be the next assistant principal at Celebration K-8. She has been a school counselor and instructional leader, the MTSS coach, the mathematics PLC lead, the LEA and 504 coordinator, and has provided grant instruction at Celebration K-8 from 2007 to present. She received her bachelor's degree in mathematics education from Florida State University, a master's degree in teaching from Marygrove College, a specialist degree in school psychology and counseling, and her doctorate in educational leadership from the University of Central Florida. Dr. Polizzi puts her heart and soul into the work at Celebration K-8, and I am confident that she will be an asset to Ms. McMahon and the rest of the leadership team there.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Ms. Castillo with a second by Mr. Melendez to approve Dr. Polizzi as assistant principal at Celebration K-8. Board, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries 5-0. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Thacker. Thank you to the school board for this incredible opportunity. Dr. Pace, Mr. Flowers, Dr. Espis, Dr. Evans, thank you. I want to also thank the leadership pipeline that this school district has created. Being in the school district for 15 years, I have had access to training in every aspect of leadership. And I want to thank Mr. Allen and Michelle Hettinger, especially Renee Clayton and Kim Mannion and the leaders that have helped me professionally and personally in pursuing this. And especially to the administrative team at Celebration K-8, Rhonda McMahon, Debbie Jones, and Joan Connolly for taking the opportunity to lead me so that I can be a leader to impact student achievement. Thank you to my husband and my kids that have been so patient as the past 3 years. I was working 3 jobs, being a mom, being a school counselor, and working on my doctorate, and they were so patient. And so I look forward to what I could do for this school district as much as it's done for me and pay forward what public education has done for me. I've always tried to just be a vessel for God's work, and that's what I want to continue to do and be the holistic leader for students and teachers. So I really want to thank everybody for this today.
Congratulations.
And now Chairman Thacker could invite Dr. Sabine Laser up to the podium, please. Board members, I am pleased tonight to recommend Dr. Sabine Laser to become the assistant principal at Osceola Virtual School. She has been a dean of students, a testing coordinator, a 21st century program coordinator, and science teacher at St. Cloud Middle. She's also been the learning resource specialist, dean of students, and biology teacher at Gateway High School, and she currently serves as the MTSS coach at Narcoossee Middle School. She received her bachelor's degree in psychology from the University of Manitoba, a master's degree in science and education from Duville College, and her doctorate degree in educational leadership from the University of Central Florida. And Dr. Laser is all excited about continuing to work with Ms. Clevenger to strengthen and build the program of Osceola Virtual School, and I know she'll do a great job.
So moved. No, go ahead.
Have a motion by Ms. Castillo with a second by Mr. Arguello to approve Dr. Laser as assistant principal at Osceola Virtual School. Board, any further questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign, motion carries 5-0. Congratulations and good luck to you. Then you have the floor.
Thank you so much. I always have to thank God first for always providing blessings for myself and my family. I have to thank my Florida family, being from Canada. My Florida family here is the Wybro family, and without them, I would not have been able to make it through my doctoral program and make all of the accomplishments that I've made so far. But board members and district leadership, I'm truly thankful for this opportunity. I'm very excited to work with Ms. Clevenger again. I worked with her briefly earlier this year. And like I said, very excited, look forward to working with her. I thank all of the previous administrators that I had the opportunity to work under. I really have been provided a wealth of opportunities and learning opportunities in my time in Osceola County, and a lot of opportunities for growth and leadership. I'm not going to be able to mention all my previous administrators, but Mr. Whedon this year was wonderful. Mr. Long at Gateway, Ms. Shabini, Mr. Studley. My Narcoossee family will be greatly missed, but I will come visit and bring food. And lastly, for my daughter, my sweet Lexi, please remember this moment. And know that you can accomplish anything you set your mind to with a little hard work and dedication. I love you to infinity and beyond.
Congratulations.
Before I go on, I would be remiss if I didn't recognize Mr. Whedon, who continues to grow talent in our district. You can see he keeps having to replace an assistant principal because he keeps growing a new one, so we appreciate it very much here. And then board members, I have one recommendation for transfer to recommend. She's not here with us tonight, but Ms. Esther Towers has requested a new opportunity and would like to take on the responsibility as assistant principal at Westside K-8. She currently serves as the AP at OTEC Alco in Point Siena. So we'll be looking for her replacement with your permission, sir.
Very good. We don't need a motion, we do need a motion on that. Okay.
So moved.
Have a motion by Mr. Bass, second by Mr. Arguello to approve the transfer to assistant principal Westside K-8. Board, any further questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries 5-0. Thank you very much. Dr. Pace, the school update is next, but how long is your school update going to?
It is 0.
Brings us to agenda modifications, and any questions on any changes to the agenda, any items on consent that anybody wants to have moved?
I would like to add an item to the agenda. I'd like the discussion of the mask. I've had so many people contact me and so many of my constituents.
You want to put that under board comments or new business?
Board comments, or how would I do that? How should I do that? Board comments, under business, yeah.
New business?
Yeah, put it under new business, that way we can put it to bed.
Okay.
I think we raised it last board meeting actually too also.
We did, yeah, you're right.
Okay. All right, any other changes to the agenda?
Yeah, you know about 1602.
Yeah,
1206 and 1207.
you wish to pull 12 out of
From
this?
consent, yeah.
nothing else, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the agenda as submitted with the omissions.
Removal of 1206 and 07, and the addition of mass conversation under new business.
Yes.
I can help you.
Yes, I couldn't remember all the numbers.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Melendez with a second by Mr. Arguello to approve the agenda with the modification, remove 1206, 1207 from consent to regular agenda, and an addition under new business of a discussion on mask. Board, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries 5-0. Now, if we could, if y'all don't mind, we've got a board member that is trying to get out of here to go to a graduation of the Law Enforcement Academy. I'd like to, if you have board's indulgence, move up, do you know what number it is, Julie?
1602.
16.02. And do it first, and then we'll go back to the information items and down.
Let's do it.
That's okay?
Okay, so are we making a motion for each person that we want to approve?
You must, because there's 4.
I'm not, yeah.
Mr. Chair?
I have never, quite frankly, Dr. Pace, do you have any guidance? Because I've never been here when we've had 4 people submitted before
2 spots.
for 2 spots. What,
That is a bit of a conundrum,
any
sir.
guidance?
You can take each one individually, although obviously that could be problematic because there are only 2 spots, or one of the board members who has a pleasure could recommend 2 out of the 4 applicants and see if there's a second and go from there. We didn't know how else to do it because it is the board's.
I wouldn't mind making.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve Mr. Robert Brussier and Greg Vilak.
Bear with me one, let me get my right spot on the agenda, so I'm with you. Let's see, 16, Bob and Greg?
Greg.
Okay, that's the 2. Is there a second to that motion?
I don't know any of these people, so I mean, I don't.
I know, yeah.
Right, but
My-
their applications.
Yeah, my reference is for the Kissimmee attorney, Olga Sanchez, and Greg Felix as
We
well.
gotta wait for hers.
We got, if, let's let that motion go and let me take another approach.
Okay, individually?
Maybe let's do one at a time instead of in pairs, how
So
about
I will
that?
make a motion to approve Mr. Greg Vilak.
Second that motion.
Have a motion to approve Greg, did you say Filak?
Vilak.
By Ms. Castillo, with a second by Mr. Melendez. Board, any comments or questions to that?
I have some comments.
Sure,
yeah.
go right.
I'd like to thank everyone who applied. It's 4 great names. Reviewing the applications, I picked the 2 that I felt comfortable with. But anyways, I just wanted to congratulate everyone who had applied.
Okay. Any further comments, questions? We have a motion on the floor by Ms. Castillo, second by Mr. Melendez to approve Greg Filak. Hearing no other discussion, all those in favor of Mr. Filak's appointment to the Business Advisory Board signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries 5-0.
I'll make a motion for Olga.
Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Arguello with a second by Mr. Melendez for Ms. Sanchez de Fuentes.
You know, I sit on the board and, well, if further discussion. We need a female. I mean, it would be good to have a female on the, it's amongst it, because we lost one. And I don't think we replaced Stacy. Yeah.
No, yeah.
So, yeah.
And y'all got ahead of me. Mr. Arguello made the motion, Mr. Melendez seconded?
Yes, sir.
Just, okay.
Yes, second.
I'm to balance it out is what I meant to say.
No, that's fine. I'm making
sure.
sure my notes are, that I'm in the right place. So, have a motion by Mr. Arguello with a second by Mr. Melendez to appoint Olga Sanchez de Fuentes to the Business Advisory Board. Is there any other discussion?
I also want to say, those are, again, 4 great candidates. Olga, she is the attorney for the city of Kissimmee. We want to be able to develop relationships, with different agencies and be able to work together with them. The other candidates are great candidates too. When we talk about diversity, I also want to look at the Business Advisory Board and know that there's no Latinas either. on that board. So be able to have diversity in the greatest sense is something that I really appreciate. And Mr. Freelich was somebody that I support as well, because that's not the same real estate background. He has, a different perspective to bring to the table. And I do appreciate the fact that somebody from Celebration wants to engage in the district as well, so.
I'm thrilled that we have 4 people for 2 spots for a change, instead of 1 person for 2 spots. So,
She's eminently qualified, she's just bring a great perspective to that.
any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of appointing Olga Sanchez de Fuentes to the Business Advisory Board signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries 5-0.
Not 5-0,
Oh, I'm sorry.
4-0.
Four-
Yeah, it was you guys, right?
Huh?
It was you guys?
Did you vote?
I did not.
What did you abstain?
Abstain?
Did you
I'm
vote
not
no?
abstaining, I'm not,
You have to vote.
okay, I didn't vote yes. I
Okay.
didn't have a chance to
Oh, okay.
say no.
Oh, okay, I said
Yes.
opposed.
Sorry, opposed.
Okay, so I'm sorry. The motion carries I apologize. I
No,
didn't-
it's totally fine.
Motion carries 4-1.
All right, so I guess we have our 2.
So we have our 2. That moves us backwards to the information agenda items. I know we have Mr. Pengelly here. I saw him, I thought, earlier. There he is. To give us our information on our massive interest earnings. Richard?
Thank you very much. Just make sure it's set up here. Maybe. Okay, all right, sure. Just start off on the first slide. Good evening, board. So I'm going to give you the portfolio performance for the quarter ending 3/31/2021. And you're correct. Interest earnings are very low and will be low for quite some time. So kind of sound like a broken record, but it's really what the Fed is giving us right now. The portfolio yield is 1.15%. However, if you had to purchase the same portfolio in the market today, it would only be 0.38%. So you are benefiting from the fact that you do have a very diversified portfolio and that you have these longer term investments that are still carrying over from back when yields were massively high in the 2 to 2.5% range. So it's really helping the portfolio. On the next slide, you'll see the actual quarterly performance was essentially flat for the quarter. The interest or yield income that you had over the quarter was offset by a slight rise in interest rates, which takes away a little bit from the existing value of the portfolio. So, we're likely to see this kind of market environment for the foreseeable future, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. For the past year, the return was 1.16% versus 0.26 for your benchmark. If you go to the next slide, actually advance another slide, another one, just keep going, and I'll tell you when to stop. Stop right there. So the big story right now is inflation. If you look at the financial news, all you hear is inflation, inflation. Everyone's concerned about inflation. So the last reading that we had from inflation was 4%. It had been less than 2% for quite some time. However, given the effect of the pandemic from last year, as we're coming out of this recovery, as you'd expect, there's a faster growth in prices. The Fed has changed its policy recently, saying that it wants to see higher inflation before it even thinks about raising interest rates. So since we see higher inflation, why isn't the Fed moving interest rates higher? Well, in their view, all of these effects are going to be temporary. Whether you're looking at things like the chip shortage that's making cars more expensive, or the fact that no one's really been taking significant vacations, so now they're gonna be getting out, now that vaccines are more widespread. Whatever you look at, the Fed says, yes, we're going to see more growth, maybe higher prices temporarily this year, but those effects will abate, and that the longer term trends, things like the aging population, greater use of e-commerce, automation, all these things are really gonna become bigger factors in the long run. To the extent they do see higher inflation and that inflation stays around and is durable, and they think it's gonna stay around, then that would motivate them to change their current course. But as it stands now, they expect to keep interest rates near zero through the end of 2023. So we're in for a long haul. Even among them, there's very little disagreement in that view. The most aggressive view among the different Fed officials that maybe they raise interest rates sometime later in 2022. So all that, of course, is bad news for you all, that we're going to be stuck in this low rate environment for quite some time. If you want to advance to 2 more slides. Perfect, right there. Oh, that one, yes. So where we are now, the Fed has kept short-term rates down at 0, so overnight rates, et cetera, are going to be near at 0. Longer-term rates are going to move around. So if there's some information that comes out that the market takes positively, you'll see interest rates higher. If there's information that comes that's negatively or viewed negatively, you'll see interest rates on the longer end go a little bit lower. You're going to see this sort of variability as the market tries to assess what would make the Fed really move. So in this kind of market, we expect to see longer rates sort of trade in this range, kind of reacting to this news, and that will create some opportunities to trade a little bit, to buy longer term securities, and then let them roll down to increase in value. But generally, we're in this low rate environment, we're comfortably in it now, and it's likely to persist for some time. So I'll end there. Any questions?
Richard, thank you very much.
Thank you.
John, before he gets done, you have any questions?
No, thank you. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for making the trip down, Richard. I appreciate it. Good to see you as always. That brings us to, I believe, item 12.06. Give me a minute to get there, please. This is 12.06 is approval of bid renewal, school district SDOC 20B017 KP school uniform, shirts, clothing, apparel, and accessories. Mr. Arguello, you pulled that.
Yes. So again, similar situation to previous. There is a vendor here locally who would like to participate. I'm a strong believer that we should be spending our money as local as possible whenever we have the opportunity. He exists. This is again an extension. So we don't need to renew. It's not mandatory that we renew, and I motion that we do not accept this renewal so that we can allow local businesses to participate.
I'm confused, Mr. Chair. Are the current folks not from Kissimmee?
There's others also.
Okay, but these are local, right? The ones that are currently on the bid?
From what I understand, yeah.
Okay. No, I was just, that's fine. Thank you so much for clearing that up for me.
Do I have a motion? Is there a second on the motion? Hearing no second, the motion fails for lack of a second. You have another motion?
I have a motion to approve 12.06.
A second.
I have a motion by Ms. Castillo with a second by Mr. Bass to approve item 12.06. Any further questions or comments, discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. You aye or you opposed?
No, I'm not.
Okay, motion carries 4, I'm sorry. Motion carries 4-0.
Missing one.
Brings us to item 12.07.
So again, Chairman.
Go ahead. I got a computer screen problem.
You want
No, go ahead.
Again, similar situation. There is, in this situation, there are no local vendors in the list. There is a local company who would like to participate. He went through great expense to open up a company here, to open up a large store that sells this type of service, and he would like to participate. Again, strong believer in providing local businesses the opportunity to participate in all the contracts that we have. I motion that we deny this bid award so that local business can participate.
Have a motion on the floor, to have a second? Hearing none, the motion dies. Do you have an alternative motion?
And Mr. Chairman, I really struggle with this because I obviously do want to have local vendors on here. I just don't want to. I'll just leave it at that. I do want to have local vendors. I just hope in the future that they get in time to be on the bid process the correct way, and that's all.
So do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve 12.07.
I'll second.
A motion by Ms. Castillo with a second by Mr. Bass to approve item 12.07. I do have one question for you, Mr. Arguello.
Yes.
Is this the guy that was here several months ago that donated some
Yes, it
stuff?
is.
Okay. I remember him being here. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have a motion by Ms. Castillo with a second by Mr. Bass to approve item 12.07. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign.
Opposed.
Motion carries 3-1. That brings us, y'all help me if I'm wrong here, to item 15.01. Did go the right spot, right?
I'll make a motion to approve item 15.01.
I'll second.
Bear with me a second. Item 15.01, I have a motion by Ms. Castillo with a second by Mr. Arguello to approve 15.01. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries 4-0. Regular business and finance. Board, your pleasure.
We just have one item, so 16.01. I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, that's right. Thank you.
Second, sorry.
That motion by Ms. Castillo with a second by Mr. Bass to approve item 16.01. Board, any further discussion, questions?
Yes, I would like to congratulate this list of 9 companies. Prior to the awarding, I went and I called, I tried to get as many local architects to participate as I could. It was shortlisted. I trust the process that was made to shortlist this group. Obviously, it's a great group of companies. Congratulations to Bumpus and Celebration, who was a local architect. I hope that they get much work from this.
Bumpus, well, he's a good gator.
I don't hold it against him.
Well, it makes him a good guy. Have a motion by Ms. Castillo, a second by Mr. Bass to approve item 16.01. Any further comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries 4-0. Item 17. Regular facilities.
Move to approve. I can do 1703, correct?
Yes.
Move to approve 17.03.
Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Bass with a second by Ms. Castillo to approve item 17.03. Board, any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion by Mr. Bass, second by Ms. Castillo for 17.03, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries 4-0. That brings us to our public comment portion of the meeting. And we will start with Diana Hauser. We have, come on up, Ms. Hauser, you have 3 minutes, and the floor is yours. Let us know what's on your mind.
Thank you very much. Good evening, school board. My name is Diana Hauser. I began my Osceola teaching career in 1993. I taught at Michigan Avenue for 2nd grade, 4th grade, and 5th grade all this time. There are many items that I could speak to you about, but I'm primarily here to implore you to take a look at the next 2 school year calendars. the van models for this year, and our insurance. When I look at the school calendar, I had to wonder if there were any teachers that were asked to give their input. The 8 pre-planning days with 0 post-planning days is a very big concern, especially at the elementary level. I don't know whether the board is aware that when it comes to our post-planning days, everything that needs to be done, and we're leaving at the exact same day that the students are. We pull all of our students' CUME folders. We have to put individual stickers on their CUME folders, their photos, any paperwork that goes along with MTSS, III, all that, needs to be done. So we definitely utilize that last 1 or 2 days pre-planning time. So to have none is a very big concern. And then having the 8 pre-planning days, and we're all for having extra time, but I think that it should be split a little more evenly. The 2 work days, which is better than this year because we had none. So it would be nice if we had a work day for each of the quarters to utilize to do grades without students being there. As far as the van for this year, we all know that this year was going to be different because of the COVID. We've had many digital students that were digital and then face-to-face and then back to digital. So for many of the teachers, when it goes to their scores, it's going to be very hard for them to feel like their score was fair. Students just having multiple teachers, and I know that this is not just an elementary concern, it's middle and high. Insurance is not great. We've got a lot of teachers that are afraid to go to the doctor because of the high bills that they've been receiving. Many physicians, especially specialists, do not take Aether. I myself, my daughter went to the emergency room. We got an $11,000 bill for her having food poisoning. We resubmitted and it was brought down, but it was still $1,400. As well as the doctor that saw her there, we got another $400 and some odd bill from them. So our insurance, and I know it's new, and I'm sure over time some other physicians might join on, but right now between not having great salary increases and high dollar insurance and bills that are coming in, I would like for you to just take the time to maybe revisit some of these as a school board. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Howell.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Sure.
It's everything is always about timing, right? So just prior to this board meeting, we had our insurance providers come talk to us, and of course they told us that they were the greatest in the world. So I appreciate the fact that you came here and said something different, because we really need varying mindsets and opinions to really come to a consensus that is more aligned with truth, right? I'd love to hear more if you can reach out and learn more about the details and then see how our insurance provider provides you with a solution, not just leaves you with the reduction.
I will get some of my
Thank you.
teachers, and I'm sure other schools will be able to do as well.
Thank you.
Let's follow up after offline. Thank you. You good, John?
Yeah.
I think it's Zahir Pena Andino.
Good evening, my name is Zaida Peñandino, 1254 Hancock Circle in St. Cloud. What an incredible and challenging year we have had as educators. As a face-to-face teacher, I would like to express my grave concern over the use of the NWEA scores for teacher evaluation purposes. The use of funds to purchase a system used only to evaluate our students, not to remediate or support them in year such as this, was irresponsible at the very least. We met the challenges of teaching during a pandemic with grace and patience for the children in our care, but none was afforded to us. We felt discouraged and unsupported as we were told of the expectations for growth and met with the usual walkthroughs from district personnel. It would have been wonderful for just one people from the district to pause and thank you or encourage us. Teachers spend hundreds of dollars out of pocket on air purifiers and other safety items in order to be sure our students experience a healthy year. Recently, this teacher that I'm talking about was stopped by a stranger who said, "Thank you for your service to our children and community." That was the first thank you that this teacher had in person all year. Some of the challenges are counseling students who experience loss, meeting all the usual deadlines and requirements, teaching to the standards and cups at all times, making space as safely as possible in our ever-growing and crowded classroom, catching up students who were clearly behind for the lack of involvement during the digital platform, adjusting several times throughout the year to students with quarantine issues. The list is just the tip of the education iceberg. Educators are exhausted, overworked. This year should be a year to celebrate the amazing things that we have done. But instead of celebrating us, you are going now to use the results from the test with no validity to judge us. This test is obviously not valid as many students begin online and had help at home for the first test. Now coming into class, they take the test on their own and the performance is theirs, not their parents'. Using the test to evaluate our effectiveness is not. Even for those students who were face-to-face all year, their performance was affected. Many missed the entire weeks at time, and some carried the cares of their families to school each year. It is my hope that clear, logical thinking will prevail, and scoring teachers on any type of test will not occur this year. Thank you.
Next up, Kevin Stillwagon, I believe. Please give us your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes.
My name is Dr. Kevin Stillwagon, 1603 Lakeshore Boulevard, St. Cloud, Florida. Just so you know, I'm not just a random upset citizen. Here's a little of my background. I studied pre-med in Pennsylvania, where I learned very quickly that surgical masks do not stop the spread of any disease. If you doubt that, just read the box that the masks come in. In 1978, I passed the basic science exam in the state of South Dakota, which was required for anyone desiring to practice medicine. I did not practice medicine, however. In 1980, I graduated valedictorian of the Palmer College of Chiropractic. I researched vaccines and published a book concerning medical freedom and the dangers of vaccines in 1984. I invented and patented a medical diagnostic device. I taught neuropathophysiology for years. I had a second career as an airline captain for a large global carrier, which after 26 years of service with, I was forced to retire early because knowing the dangers of wearing a face mask for long periods and the fact that they do not stop the spread, I absolutely refuse to wear one. I have lived in Osceola for 32 years. I sent my completely unvaccinated child through the public school system, so if you even think about making this COVID-19 experimental injection mandatory for school children, you'll hear from me again. Masks are useless. We breathe about 100 million viruses every day, mask or no mask. The viruses go around and through it all day long. When we breathe viruses, they get trapped in the sticky mucus of the respiratory tract so that they can be coughed, sneezed, or spit out into something that can be thrown away, not into a cloth rag strapped to these kids' faces all day. The humidity in that cloth mask will collect all sorts of pathogens. Kids will rebreathe these pathogens, making it 13 times more likely that they will develop an upper respiratory infection versus someone not wearing a mask. If you continue to mandate masks on children, you are making them 13 times more likely to get sick. Every time kids touch that mask, they are aerosolizing viruses, allowing them to disperse on very small droplets that are almost weightless and can travel hundreds of feet, not 6 feet, actually enhancing the viral transmission. Some masks are made of nano-sized particles that can break off, be inhaled, and cause mesothelioma-like conditions in their lungs. Do you want to be responsible for causing that in a child? Wearing a mask for a prolonged period will cause hypoxia, decreased blood oxygen levels, sometimes causing headaches, and definitely making it harder to concentrate. Who thinks that's a good idea in what's supposed to be a learning environment?
Children need to see the faces of others in order to learn how to form words properly, interpret emotions, and develop normal psychology. Do you want to be responsible for creating abnormal psychology in a child? So, knowing what you know now, if you continue to mandate mask wear in children, you are intentionally causing harm to these children and putting them at risk. I promise you, if you continue this nonsense, you're going to find yourself on the wrong end of a lawsuit.
Next, we have Joanne Colonna. Did I say that right? Anywhere close?
That was right on.
And give us your name.
Ladies, gentlemen.
Name and address for the record, please.
Yes, I will. My name is Joanne Colonna, 4701 Ashton Drive West, St. Cloud, Florida. I'm a resident of Osceola County since 1986. 35 years ago, I decided to make this my home, and I never felt the need to come and address this wonderful school board. After hearing what is going on tonight, I am in awe to hear all the good things. Tonight, I'm sorry, I'm going to be a little bit of the doom inside of all the glory that I have seen, okay? I have a granddaughter and I have a grandson. My granddaughter goes to one of these schools here in Osceola County, in high school, okay? Her curriculum isn't anything that I would have dreamt that she would have in school. I think our country needs to get back to what makes it unique, and it's the history of our country. We need to keep history for us to learn from it. We can't just disregard it. The teachers, they need to unite the students and not divide them. And why I'm saying that is my granddaughter, under a few different circumstances, has come across very nasty children in high school that call her white privileged, which I don't feel that she has to defend herself for being white. And the teachers have not to date said anything about that. I would like to see at this time the teachers maybe doing, and I think the teachers are marvelous, but I think the teachers need more assistance. They need maybe body cams that we can choose out, or you can see what the students do to teachers on a daily basis. The police officers have them, and it seems to work. Why not the teachers? They're not only protecting themselves of what can happen, but we can see what is going on in the classroom and what our children are being taught and how they're reacting to it. I don't feel, I had invited a retired teacher to come here this evening, and she could not make it, but she said one thing she would like to stress to this board this evening, and that would be for teachers to teach what's in the history books and not make it personal or political. She sees that going on all the time. And last but not least, I think we're the driving force for the next generation. You here in the school board are the ones that make the decisions what happens in the schools. And I think it's very, very important for you yourselves to know what's going on. And if you decide to even consider the body cams for the teacher, you will know what is happening in the classroom. I mean, there are many good things happening, but the things that you don't get to see are hidden. And I don't feel that that should be. A teacher should be dedicated and lead by example, which most of them are. And last but not least, I guess what I'd like to say is that if we don't fight for our children and the next generation, who is going to? I never thought at 75 years old I'd have to stand before you and beg for my granddaughter not to be harassed in school, or beg for you to teach the history of our country and not be political in any way. And what I also like to say at this point is that when my granddaughter is harassed, I tell her, if you feel you need to answer, don't ever be crude to anybody, because you don't know what they're learning in their homes to talk like that. But being white privileged, you do have to work twice as hard, because you don't get, and it's not afforded to you, any of the privileges of not being white privilege.
Time is up, if you can go ahead and wrap it up, please.
Okay, at this point, I guess I would just like to thank you for hearing me tonight. I guess I'm a grandma that is concerned for the future of all children, and not just mine. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. And thank you for being a concerned grandma. Emily Stolfus? You have 3 minutes. Give us your name and address for the record.
Emily Stolfus,
Gotcha.
Emily Stolfus, 1463 Fledgling Court, Orlando. I'm a teacher here in Osceola and also representative of the OCA union. And I'm speaking tonight on behalf of concerned elementary teachers across the district, adding on to Z's point about NWEA being used as part of the VAM calculations. So this is a message coming from one of our teachers. I am very concerned about this matter. Some of our best teachers were asked, did not volunteer, to be digital and possibly remain digital throughout the year. It is extremely unfair to all teachers to use the NWEA platform as a basis for our VAM due to the inconsistent testing conditions. At the beginning of the year, online teachers were only able to see 9 students at a time on Teams, and obviously class sizes were much larger. We were unable to have eyes on every student's testing conditions. As these students transferred into face-to-face classrooms, those scores came with them. Every single teacher is now potentially impacted by inconsistent beginning of the year testing procedures, which we could not control. Online teachers also reported watching students look off screen as they were testing. Another concern over monitoring is that student microphones needed to remain muted during tests so as not to interrupt others, but it's possible that family members could be off camera discussing questions and answers with students. A second letter, this is from a kindergarten teacher. I am very disappointed and appalled at the fact that NWEA scores will be counted towards teacher scores. I have been a kindergarten digital teacher with 17 to 21 students all year. With the first NWEA test, half of my students scored very high and way past the kindergarten level. I knew for a fact their parents helped because a lot of my students couldn't even read, nor did they have great comprehension skills. I talked to parents about it and how it will affect their overall growth appearance. Some parents listened the second time around, but some still scored incredibly high, even much higher than I knew they were academically. With the final test, students came in face-to-face and took the test, and those scores dropped some into the negatives. Their face-to-face NWEA was their true and honest score, and it's sad to see that it seems they went down because we don't know where they started. I do not think it's fair to hold this against me when I could not control the testing conditions. One more letter. I am writing to inform you that I oppose those counting of NWEA scores as part of my VAM. Throughout the year, students were quarantined sometimes multiple times, and within those quarantines would have multiple digital teachers. Between a myriad of changes and difficulties, there have been multiple challenges this year, along with the inconsistent testing conditions. Many teachers have worked hard and everyone has had to bridge this gap. I believe the same grace being exhibited to students by not counting FSA scores towards their promotion should be provided to teachers by not counting the NWEA score as part of their VAM. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Dr. Pace, 2 things. 1, is that the case? And 2, why isn't the hold harmless being extended to the teachers regarding testing?
The emergency order from Commissioner Corcoran did not provide the same level of extension for our teachers. And so by statute, 35% of their final evaluation is required to be based on student performance. We've been looking at other alternatives that we could use, talking to other districts, but we don't have other alternatives at this time. I don't disagree with any of the concerns that the teachers have raised about all that they have been through, all that they have done, and all that the students have been through over the course of this last year. We are going to give as much compassion and grace in how those final cut scores are determined. We will provide the option of either a 1-year VAM or a 3-year aggregate VAM, whatever is best for the teacher. We're going to make sure that we provide that level of compassion and grace that we have control over here at the district, and we'll work with them as best we can. But that's where we are from a statutory standpoint.
So statutory is 35%, but like in law school, they grade you on a curve, right? Is there any way that we can provide them with the same opportunity so that they can extrapolate this data and then make sense of it and then grade them based on that?
That's why we're gonna compare, if we can go back over a three-year aggregate as opposed to a one-year aggregate, we're gonna do that. Whatever is best for the teacher, we're gonna use to give them that compassion and grace.
Good question. Thank you. Ms. Isaacs?
That was very kind of you. It's always nice to see you all.
Good to see you. We've only seen you a time or two this year. Seems like.
If this mic ever got smaller or lower to the ground, it'd see me more.
Hopefully you know the drill.
Yep. April Isaacs, 1911 Kings Point Boulevard, Kissimmee, Florida. To piggyback off of what Zahara and Emily has already said, another letter from a concerned employee, which you guys asked for proof, so here we go. I've taught in this district for more than 10 years, and at no time did I ever feel that the evaluation was unfair. But this year is an exception. I began my class with 18 students, which have come and gone throughout the year. Some of my students began as digital and now are face-to-face. Why is it that the state has said that FSA will not affect students, yet the district is still allowing teachers to be evaluated on VAM scores? All the students lost 3 months of instruction last year, yet when they entered the next grade, they were told not to go back. We were told not to go back and fill in the gaps, but to teach at present grade level. We were working with students who have had major gaps in their education. As a teacher, I feel that we've worked extremely hard this year and we're able to move those students, maybe not to the district level, but still moving. It is time that the district look at the teachers and what they do for this district. Like the students, we need a little slack given to us. Now, to continue on in that vein, today I received several calls from several members who were actually telling us that the principals had come back from a meeting and that they were told at the principal meeting that June 4th was to be a PD day only. They were very gracious in saying that, of course, that could be a flex day worked out with the principal, or that it could actually be a day that they took off as personal time. And I think that's wonderful. I think it's great, but there are some considerations I'm just asking you to listen to and to possibly, as you've so eloquently put, and I already had, give grace to and flexibility. I know, number one, that your staff works very hard, Dr. Pace. I know that you probably got some fantastic trainings. I, as an English teacher, am looking forward to the new standards. I will be at every training that you can possibly give me. But there are some things that we need to consider. Number one, the moving of rooms. We have one day to get grades in and to clean our rooms at the end. That's why so many people are looking at June 4th as possibly being if to go back and clean rooms. I myself am moving this room, but I'm not coming in on Memorial Day, no matter how much I love you or my kids. I'm grilling. So if I'm grilling, you all are invited, and somewhere I gotta get some time to move my room.
Can I have that address?
Also.
We have it.
I'm telling you. Also, we need to pack up rooms because floors need to be cleaned, things need to be cleaned, and our books and our tables and our pretty posters need to go. You just heard from a wonderful member and an elementary teacher, Ms. Hauser, tell you about all of the paperwork that they have to go through just to do CUNE files at the end of the year. When is this time going to happen? If you're going to say planning periods, that's nice, but many of us are already working our planning periods to take the place of some teachers who are actually already out for being sick or for whatever. Also, you've got the long sheets that we have to do at the end of the year that we can't do during planning periods because there's not enough time. You also have ESE work. Look, it takes a village, and we know it takes a village. It will cost you very little to reconsider what I'm proposing. Just let June 4th be an actual work day in the classroom or a PD day if they choose to. I'm not asking for anyone to get any special exception. I'm not asking for anyone not to get paid for what they don't do. But you would do a very good service to people who are very tired, which you all acknowledge, people who are very, very, very mentally, I don't want to say unstable, but need a break. You know it's true, we all need breaks, all of us. If you would just consider this issue. One last thing, we know the VAM scores are probably not what everybody wants to hear, but please remember that the FLDOE did say that it was optional. We'll probably come back and beg for you to actually take a look at the VAM scores as well, because if it truly is optional, then this body should be able to make a decision that will make everybody happy and make everybody at least feel valued. Because if you ask one word what teachers don't feel, and I'm not saying it's from anybody here, I'm just saying if you ask, they don't feel valued. Thank you for your time.
Greg Garris. Mr. Garris, I think you know the drill too.
Yeah.
Haven't seen you in a while either.
At least the microphone is lower. Greg Garris, 3302.
Maybe I should do these in order of height, when as I do them.
So good evening. I'm a social studies teacher that is completing my 15th year with the school district of Osceola County. Tonight I'd like to inform the board and the leadership in our district about the recently passed Teacher Appreciation Week. First, I'd like to thank the school-based efforts to show appreciation for our teachers and our professional support staff. It has truly been a year unlike any of us ever imagined when we committed ourselves to touching and shaping the future of our nation. I would like to ask our leaders, though, and the board, when was the last time that you listened to the frontline employees? Perhaps you might have learned that those that deliver to our students day in and day out feel that this year, above all, we feel unappreciated. Maybe you would have bumped into a teacher worried about her evaluation because in January, she was assigned a classroom of students filled with students who were failing for the first half of the year. Underappreciated describes the 15-year veteran like myself who now makes nearly the same amount of money as a first-year teacher, and no member of this school board or our superintendent spoke up on our behalf. Not even in the press, not in Tallahassee. Now, having survived this battlefield of a year, we must endure 3 days of professional development at the end of the year, all at the expense of our work days that teachers desperately needed so that they can occasionally leave the papers, leave the computer at the school, and tend to their families. Maybe you would have conversed with a teacher who was upset when they learned, or worse, when they watched, that they were told that the rationale for taking our work days was because teachers, their colleagues sometimes don't put their grades in a timely manner. Looking ahead to next year, we'd like to hear the rationale that is being given for 9 days of pre-planning and 0 days of post-planning. When am I supposed to pack my room? I provide bell-to-bell instruction, and you better believe I'm teaching reconstruction on the very last minute until 4:20 with my students. I don't stop. And if I've got a little bit of extra time, I'll be doing financial responsibility with my kids. So I don't stop. It keeps going, and to have me finish with the kids on this very same day, it's just like the icing or the iceberg that sunk the Titanic, and this is just the tip. I could go into insurance, but I humbly ask you to get out into the schools now. Talk to your employees and find out what they are feeling. It's desperate out there, and we're going to lose good people. They're leaving the profession. Thank you.
Mr. Allen. And that is, before you start, come on up. That is all I have submitted for comments, just to make sure everybody's been covered there. Go ahead, Larry.
Wish I was that tall. Anyway, Larry Allen, 722 Maverick. Imagine you're a 5th grade teacher, it's January, and you've been told your classes are being reorganized because students are coming back for face-to-face instruction. You're a great teacher, dedicated, nurturing, one of your school's best. That's why the principal formed your classes with students who are failing the first half of the year. School board members, please stand up if you want to teach a class made up of students who failed the first half of the school year online and have now been forced to return to face-to-face instruction. Maybe you didn't understand the question. School board members, stand up if you want your paycheck to be tied to how well these students perform this year. Knowing these students will be held harmless for their performance on the end of the year tests. Now that you understand what's happening, that it says pretty plainly that you don't want it for you. I want you to know why, I want to know why you're willing and so accepting to allow it to happen to others. You have the power to make things right, but will you? So we did a little survey. One of the questions was, when classes were being reorganized after winter break, were you assigned a class made mostly of students who were failing the first semester? And about 27% said yes. And we also asked, hey, was anyone else at your school pretty much in the same situation where they had a class like that? And then 43% said yes. And here's some comments that were made. All right, so I taught online the whole year. In January, I see many new students from other digital classes. My evaluation will be affected primarily because they took their assessments at home and simply because I cannot control the home environment while I teach. I'm gonna skip that one, sorry. I'm in elementary and our classes were set from the beginning of the school year. However, all year we've had a revolving door with our digital students. That would be in our class for 10 days and then gone, the new students would be in our class. I don't wanna do that. I teach PE, so new classes came to me mixed amongst the others. It was like week one again, and if you've ever taught, you know what week one is like. It's crazy. But a majority of struggling students instead of a typically even mix. There was a clear difference between face-to-face and digital students. This one says they were all digital failing students that were placed inside one class. In some grade levels, teachers gave some of their most challenging kids to teachers that moved from digital to face-to-face. In my opinion, this made it harder for those teachers to teach effectively, and I guess that's about it. So I hope we can come to some sort of understanding. Maybe we can have flexibility and figure out a better way to evaluate teachers. In some counties, they give bonus points. In other counties, they have hold harmless language for teachers. Anyway, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. If not, hearing no others, that will close the public comment portion of the meeting. Mr. Kruppenbacher, do you have anything?
After careful consideration, no.
Good job. Give
Wait,
yourself a pat on the back. Get a,
No executive?
that's your bonus point.
That's Dr. Pace's.
Oh,
That's it.
I was gonna say no.
We don't have any unfinished business. We have new business, an item that Mr. Bass added to the agenda on masks.
Yes, sir.
We'll turn it over to you.
Well, it's been a topic of conversation, obviously, amongst everyone, and I've been receiving a lot of phone calls from teachers, and I think they've been listening to the recommendations of the governor and the education commissioner. I think at our last meeting, we were going to discuss it, but I guess we were going to just follow the sunset of July, whatever that date was, mandate. But I would like for us to at least take a stance and say, starting with our summer sessions, that our masks go into a voluntary position instead of mandatory. I'd like the discussion with the board regarding busing, because I don't know if we can. I don't know if we probably should maintain masks on buses, but at least starting on our summer session, follow CDC guidelines up until our summer session, and then carrying forward, making the mask voluntary instead of mandatory.
We talked about this a little bit a few weeks ago, I think. I guess we had we've been extremely successful this year in our schools with kids in classrooms and the transfer of COVID in schools. I understand there's a lot of opinions masks don't help. I can promise you if I go have surgery, I'm gonna look around and make sure before I go to sleep, everybody's got a mask on. The thing, I understand where you're coming from. My only thing is, I'd like to hear from that group that advised us all along. What we call that task force, Dr. Pace?
The Back to School Task Force.
Back to School Task Force. I don't know if there's any chance they can maybe meet before our next meeting and give us some guidance. And I'd just like to hear some, we've listened to expert guidance, or at least I feel like I have this far along. I'd like to hear it, just what it is, what they're thinking, before I'd be willing to
Gotcha.
to go with the summer school option. So I don't know what others think. Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm on the same boat. The back to school task force did meet and they do have a report within our agenda. And they did.
They can't hear you. If you just speak up, I'm not sure why it's not coming.
What? I'm not speaking. What? Never.
Be careful what you ask for.
I know. You sure? Are you sure? Okay, here we go. What I was saying is that I'm on the same page as you at the moment. That doesn't mean I can't change my mind. Only because I feel like that specific task force is still considering, just based on what I read in their report. When's our next meeting? June 2nd?
Yes.
Do you think that our three experts can come in and just do a quick recommendation? I don't know what that would look like, Robert, what to make you feel more comfortable. That would be before summer school starts as well, right?
The challenge that we have with June 2nd, remember, is that we have graduations as well as the
Oh,
budget
that's-
workshop and ESSER discussion.
That's right, no, you're right.
That particular day.
Mhm.
So if the board would consider it, I would ask that if we wanna have them come, we would have them come to the second meeting in June. And Tom would also convene between now and then a second meeting of the Back to School Task Force. You know, currently, their recommendations were, number one, that the mitigation strategies have worked, including face coverings.
Right.
And they were most concerned again about the school buses, which kind of aligns with what CDC has said.
Yes.
In that they encourage people to wear masks through the end of the school year. After that, you could rethink it, but that public transportation would be a place where they would, masks should still probably be considered.
Right.
But I'm happy to bring that back to the second meeting in June. That would, if the board wants to, that way we would start summer school on June the 7th.
So June 7th is summer school. I understand, Robert, why you're so, okay, I got it now.
But we're gonna respect the will of the board in this particular case. We are providing transportation to our summer programs this year to encourage attendance. And we've got so far about almost 17% of our kids are registered for a summer program of one kind or another.
Oh, wow. So, here's the way I feel about mandatory, voluntary. I had that conversation with my daughter because obviously, the community themselves are talking about it and she's like, look, I don't care what you do, Autumn's gonna wear a mask, right? So if we make it voluntary, I think that gives flexibility for people who are not willing to. But like I said, we have been so successful in keeping the transmission rates so low, and it has been because we have been very specific about following the guidelines of our task force, that I just wanna have another shot of having a conversation with them before I move forward. And I don't know if the second week in June is gonna be too late, I guess, for.
Be done before summer session starts.
Should be done the end of that week, before the 7th, in a special meeting.
I do have a scheduled vacation though.
Oh,
I think one thing that we're not considering is what the governor's order is. So is this a moot point? Are we gonna have them come and deliver advice that's against the governor's order? I mean, it may, in the end.
When does the
what
governor's
I said
order
last
go into
time,
effect?
July.
July 1?
July 1.
So
July 1.
when 2 weeks ago when I brought this up, it was basically why we need to come up with something, right? So we need to come up with something at this stage, and so number one, I think, Frank, we need to figure out exactly what the governor's order says in terms of how that impacts us. We saw that the Department of Education said it does not impact us, but we don't have a policy. Right, we're piggybacking off of the county's policy, which July 1 becomes moot.
Exactly.
So effective July 1, essentially, if we leave things alone, we're not wearing masks, right? Or it becomes optional. That's basically what the situation is. So, I mean, I'm not a big fan of allowing things to escape your control and then flow and,
Because we have a uniform, not uniform of mask, but uniform.
Yeah.
I want the board to take a position that masks are voluntary because you don't want people who will be wearing them and somebody says you're not allowed to wear them. It's not part of the approved code.
No, I think it does have to be
Superintendent.
codified. Yeah, if it's voluntary, it has to be put in there because I don't want that to be like an additional concern if you are wearing one, yes.
I think it should be the opposite because you don't want to codify something that's voluntary, right? You don't want to say this is mandatory or voluntary. So if we're gonna be forced to wear masks, then we need a policy that says that.
Yeah, but I
If
don't
not,
want
then
the
wearing a
child to
mask is
get-
voluntary as a result.
To have a dress code policy or dress code violation because you're wearing a mask.
Let me, if
That's
you
not gonna
want
happen,
to,
right?
if you want to mandate masks, you would need
Is
to
it ridiculous?
adopt a
Yeah.
policy. If you don't want to mandate masks, and the majority of the board is simple, let it be voluntary. Dr. Pace can issue a memo to everybody and says this is voluntary. We don't need to go through rules or anything else, but it'll be clear to everybody and there won't be confusion.
So that's what I mean when I say codify, like we have to say something, not
Yes.
just let it go.
Exactly.
I mean, if I wasn't clear, that's what I meant, yes.
I just know what John was saying as far as what the governor's mandate is, it sunsets July 1. I just want to get a head start on it, so the kids going back to summer session.
By not clarifying or saying it applied to school districts, you got a lot of confusion in the public because
And for some reason, they're not hearing us, everybody.
You have a lot of
The
confusion in
microphones
the-
must not be working. We've had trouble
Sorry.
hearing Dr. Pace all night.
you have a lot of confusion in the public.
Can you hear him now?
Press and everybody said that the governor said no more masks. Then I think within a day, we got a memo from DOE saying, no, it doesn't apply to school districts. So I think the board ultimately needs to clarify it so there's not this confusion. Because if you don't do anything, come the first one, there will be no mandated masks because the county's provision expires and you've been operating under that provision.
Dr. Pace?
I would just share with the board that I think one of the successes of our Ready, Set, Start and Ready, Set, Restart plan was clarity and communication, so that everybody understood what the expectations were and how we were gonna proceed. We have a meeting on June the 15th. I am confident I could get some, if not all three, of the medical experts to be a part of that particular meeting so that the board could ask the questions and then make their decision. If that pleases the board, that would, we would start June 7th with masks still being an expectation, and then we could transition after that, or either transition on July 1st, whatever is the pleasure of the board. But I do believe that clarity of the expectation is gonna be super, super important.
I agree with that clarity, something doesn't feel right about giving clarity a week into it.
I think, are we having a discussion that becomes moot? Do we have the authority to go against what the governor's order is? If we do, then maybe we continue the discussion, and if the majority of the board wants to continue masks until, price rises, then fine. If the case is that we do not, then this is a moot point.
As of today, based upon what the state issued to us.
I cannot hear you, Frank.
As of today, based upon what DOE has provided us, which is DOE, yes.
Yes, we do have
Something
authority
different.
to do masks?
Yeah.
Okay,
See, nothing's come down either from the commissioner or the governor rescinding or modifying that document from DOE. And I've been monitoring it, I'll monitor it again this week. Is anything coming out? Because you've created a confusing paradigm. I don't know why they allowed it to be that way, but they did.
Robert, what do you think?
I don't want to wear a mask anymore. I mean, I want it to be, I'm just, some of the teachers I was talking with, they're teaching the little kiddos. And it's awful. Like I told you at the last meeting, some of these masks will crawl off the table by themselves if you set them on them because it's just that bad, so.
I will tell you one other thing.
Yep.
Barring some big medical advice, I would tell you, as a lawyer, assessing risks from a standpoint of litigation against mandating them, I'd be very careful in considering mandating masks. Right?
Be careful on
I think they're mandating, I think you could get a lot of challenges at this point that would be costly to defend. So I really want to hear what these doctors say. Because to me, ultimately, it's always been.
I'm okay with it. Okay, I'm fine with that then. Let's bring
One
the
more thing,
experts in.
because I know you're trying to get, or you would like for this to be done before the 7th, right? Ideally.
If at all possible.
Must we meet with them? Could they give us a memo of recommendations and then send that to us electronically? Is that a possibility?
If that's something that the board would want to see on the 2nd, I certainly can do that, and we'll make it an action item under unfinished business.
Let's do that.
They don't necessarily have to be here
Yeah.
for me, they can.
Okay.
I mean, if they can just send us, I mean, would you be okay
Yep,
with that,
yep,
Robert?
I'm perfect, yeah, I'd be good with that.
I'd like us to settle it before
Yeah.
school starts. Something doesn't sound right to me to feel right doing it one weekend.
All right, I will
It's
plan
like
to
we can.
have some information for you all in writing by June 2nd.
Mr. Brumbacher?
I'd love to see what the advice is of the governor's surgeon general. And if something was
Can you find
created.
that? Can you get that in with this
I
data?
will research that issue because I'd love to see if there was a document created that helps.
I think we will take all the help we can get in all the directions, because I am certainly not a doctor. And I can just go by what our experience was this year. Let's see here. Any other discussion on that? Robert, you okay there?
I'm good.
We
I'm
get where we needed to get?
Yep.
Board member comments? Anybody got any comments? I've got one thing, Dr. Pace. You know, you and I think have had a couple conversations about this over the last 6 months, and that's the VAM scores. Can you, and if everybody else, if the other 3 board members that are here are way ahead of me on this, that's fine, and you and I can just do it. But if they're not, can you kind of give us a 5-minute presentation at the next meeting on where this thing stands? Where do we have the ability to, kind of like John's suggestion on the, you know, you can score a test and then you can put it on a curve. Can we put this 30% on its own little curve? I don't know. I don't know what the answer is.
I'll ask Dr. Torres from our Research and Accountability Department, our director. She's much more adept at
No,
explaining
that's
this.
fine.
And what I will commit to is that we're gonna do everything that we can. I've been emailing and exchanging sticky notes with my team to see what alternatives we do have. And then we'll bring something back, a short presentation for the board. Yes, sir.
And it is my understanding we're going to recess this meeting to continue with a quick executive session on bargaining.
Correct.
Upstairs, I'm assuming?
Yes, sir.
And we will adjourn this meeting. At the end of that meeting upstairs, we will not come back here.